Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video.
Female/31 cheated on husband over layouts. I've been married to my husband for 8 years. I was the typical girl next door who lost her virginity on her wedding night. That type of stuff, good girl. 4 years ago, I got pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and our wonderful lives were made much better. I had a lovely home, a hot spouse, a fantastic life, a darling daughter, and a rewarding work. Everything was in my possession. I was laid off 2 years ago. My previous employer sold our bank card division to an out-of-state corporation. They offered to move me, but because my spouse earns more money, it made more sense to reject and hunt for another work closer to home. I was disappointed and irritated, but I went back to work believing it was just a little setback. I had numerous companies that were interested in hiring me since I was excellent at what I did. However, I fell pregnant again and had to postpone my job hunt. Unfortunately, I miscarried, which drove me into a deep melancholy, and work opportunities dried up at the same time. I was perplexed. I feel I was always a wonderful mother because I prioritized it. But I knew I wasn't receiving the personal success and fulfillment I wanted in my life from my job. I'm sure many will criticize me for it, but that's just my opinion. It had an impact on me as a wife as well. I wasn't as cheerful and joyful as I usually am, and our life fell from porn star to barely surviving. My husband, bless him, tried all he could to assist me, including crying on my side of the bed and promising me he'll do whatever it takes to make me happy if I just told him. But I couldn't tell him because I didn't know what would make me happy. A few months later, we bumped into a guy we both know, who used to attend our church, in a restaurant. He sat with us at our request and we had a wonderful talk. He made me an offer when he inquired what I was doing and I told him I was between jobs. He's a photographer, and he asked me to do a picture shoot for him. I chuckled because I'm not a model. But that's exactly what he wanted. Women from all across the globe who are true to their professions. He was dead serious. I pondered about it all night and was thrilled about it. It was dressed, not naked or in lingerie. My husband was dubious at first, but when he realized how much I wanted to do it, he agreed. I posed in everyday attire such as jeans, khakis, dresses, and skirts. I performed 6 picture shoots, and they were so much fun that I felt attractive even though I was simply wearing my regular clothing. Every time, I'll state that the dress he had me wear grew a bit more, heels, then a shorter skirt, then cleavage, then something tighter. I viewed the photos from my previous session, and I thought I looked fantastic. I wanted to show them to my husband, but the photographer said he'd put them in a portfolio after we were through. He had an idea. How about lingerie for our anniversary? Although it was 3 months away, I liked the concept. My spouse would like it, and I had become extremely fond of this photographer. So I posed in my underwear. I was a bit uneasy at first, but as we progressed, I felt better. In fact, I felt fantastic, really fantastic. I got a little carried away. It took a long time, but I finally slid my teddy's straps down and exposed my breasts. I didn't ask him, I simply did it. He took a lot of photos of it. And, as you could expect, he came over and kissed me. On the set, we had. To be honest, it was wonderful. Everything about it was great. We didn't just do it once, but multiple times that afternoon. I conducted an act with the photographer that my husband had always wanted to attempt but I refused. I simply let it all hang out. It wasn't until I came home that it struck me. I saw his clothing, our bed, and the fragrance of our surroundings. It struck me and I sobbed. A great deal. I immediately stopped posing. The photographer continued messaging and phoning me, but I never returned his calls or texts, and I never saw the photos he shot of me. I wish I could say that I immediately informed my husband that I had cheated on him, but I didn't. I kept it a secret from him for months. Face to face, I finally told him. He was taken aback and heartbroken. He hasn't touched me since, and it's been almost 5 months. He hasn't divorced me, and he is cordial to me, but not as kind and sympathetic as he once was. But he used to be all over me, and now he won't even touch me. It aches how badly I messed up, and I wish I could undo the damage I've done. But I'm afraid I can't. And I could lose the one guy who has ever meant anything to me. Story 2. My wife was cheating on me while I was abroad for a week. It ruined everything I thought about us. We've known one another for over 5 years and have been married for over 3 years. My wife cheated on me with a man she met just 4 months ago. I learned 4 days ago. It occurred 100% of the time when I was on a business trip overseas for a week. And I'm not sure whether it started earlier. How did I find out? I began to distrust her because of her infrequent messages on Messenger and hesitant phone responding. When I returned, I snuggled with her on the first night, to which she replied, "Please don't fall asleep like that, I'm not accustomed to it after your week-long absence." I examined her Facebook account the next day when she was still sleeping. We know each other passwords to many accounts. I found images of them snuggling and kissing, as well as texts plainly suggesting she was spending overnight with him, presumably at his apartment, while I was gone. In one communication, she even confesses to cheating on me. Her intention is to keep doing it, to go through the next Christmas as if nothing had changed. She even asked me what present I wanted, while still purchasing a gift for the man. Do you believe it? In texts, she says she'll keep continuing like this until she's, most likely financially, independent of me, which won't happen overnight. Then you abandon me in a cold and soulless manner. I'm not sure whether she knows I caught her cheating on me. I'm going to presume yes. I scarcely recall the first several hours of that day, trying not to give her any indication of my awareness or how completely destroyed I am. She might notice it and begin her steps, such as preparing for a speedy move out, filing for divorce, and so on. I haven't logged into her Facebook account since then, and I'm not sure whether she spotted me doing so, because of read messages. I'm not up to speed on her present situation. Whatever happens, I believe I need to prepare for the defense in order to ensure my financial security. Prepare for a brawl between our 2 dogs and 2 cats. We don't have any children. I'm very attached to our pets. Unfortunately, she is the only owner under the adoption agreements for 2 cats and 1 of the dogs. Only the first dog is owned equally by both of us. This makes it absolutely lawful for her to just grab them all while I'm not at home. Every time I come home, I have a nervous breakdown. I'm afraid that this time the house will be vacant and I won't see them again. When her mother divorced, she did something similar. The first time I saw my lawyer was today, and everything went well. Even the journey there was a direct strike in the stomach for me. I was intrigued by the location of one of the images I had downloaded from her Facebook page. They were kissing and posing for photographs with our dogs when we arrived. It was on my way to the lawyer's office that I spotted it. It's just a few feet away. I had a complete meltdown at that place, so I'm going to keep up my deception game by sleeping in the same bed with her and accepting all of her weak excuses about having a busy schedule until the investigators have enough evidence to charge her. No longer do I have any respect for myself, and I'm unable to look myself in the eyes. I don't feel like a man anymore. Having to live in my residence is like living in a living nightmare and a pain. After obtaining a report from the investigators, I'm contemplating of informing her about her affair, perhaps with evidence on the table, but I'm not sure yet, and asking that she attend a counseling session for married couples after hearing the report. I want to be absolutely convinced that I have done all that is humanly feasible. The possibility exists that I will become entirely persuaded that I cannot trust her and will be unable to stand the concept of any intimacy between us as a result of the therapy. I'm experiencing exactly that right now, with all of the breaking emotions swirling about inside of me. My thoughts on this have been prompted by the fact that it is quite difficult to recognize your first opponent in someone you've known for years in a split second. Everyone I tell this to just tells me that I should dump her. Please let me know if you have any recommendations for what more I may do in the meanwhile to get through that period, especially the forthcoming Christmas season with all of the falsehoods and best wishes that have been sent between us. Update: I can't explain how appreciative I am for everyone's kind comments and helpful ideas, STD check, var and so on. I wish I had the time to answer to each and every one of you. I posted just before going to bed, it was close to 2 a.m. there, I'm GMT +2, and it exploded overnight. Thank you once again. I'll attempt to update when I'm in better form.